Welcome, everybody, to Hyperized, episode 6. I'm your guest, Hyperdrive, and with me today, we have Vince. Now, you might know him and his company as Carbonites. Carbonites, welcome. Say hey to everybody.
Thank you. Happy to be here, Hyperdrive. This is pretty cool. I love that you decided to really just start interviewing artists and highlighting people in the community that you kind of can relate to on an art level.
Well, people, you keep, like I said just a moment ago, you keep calling me an artist. I don't know about that. I'm a hobbyist, and I am in awe of all the people I interview because I draw so much inspiration from all of them. And one of my most fun pursuits of the last calendar year has been tracking down Carbonites. Now, Carbonites are based on everybody's favorite space opera, so to speak. But we're not going to say that. We're just going to call them what they are: little tiny sci-fi space collectibles. And they might look familiar, they might sound familiar, but they're your own creation. So tell us a little bit about how you got started.
Yeah, Carbonites is a product of not being able to find an internship. And it's also a product of my COVID hobby. And I think, the old saying used to be, you could tell a lot by a man's shoes, Forrest Gump. And I think you can also tell a lot about a person from their COVID hobby or what it is they decided to pick up. And true. I think Carbonites really says a lot about me, both what I collect and stylized collectibles, kind of cutified, caricaturized versions of characters. But it also, gives somebody a window into how I express my love of the galaxy far, far away, and the how much of a collector I think I've always been. So Carbonite started, yes, it was 2020. We were setting up for a semester in school where it would be an internship semester. For my school, they called them co-ops. Mm-hmm. And with COVID, naturally hard to find jobs. But on top of that, I was a freshman in college. So while I was a pretty good high school artist, I was still finding my way in terms of my design language in college, finding my style. And I'm very lucky that that is something I eventually did find. But at the time, it was very difficult. So it's time to get an internship. And this would have been for January of 2021. And nothing was coming up. And that's okay. I don't think I was there yet as an artist. I don't think I maybe had a lot to offer. So I was tasked with creating my own internship. And it was an upskilling course that at the time I had called Little Guys. That was the working title. And over time, I started calling them Carbonites, and I realized that was a great name for them. So
I'll tell you. So if you're unfamiliar with the Carbonites brand, the Carbonites look, they're 2-inch by 1-inch. Are they 2-inch by 1-inch figures? Yeah, there they are. And they have a wraparound sticker that has your favorite characters from a galaxy far, far away. And my favorite happens to be Rebellious Space Princess Hooded. And that's my favorite one. And there's something charming and wonderful and innocent about the names. And I love how you sort of circumnavigate around all kinds of issues by doing so. And the sets that I have 5 sets currently, and I just bought 3 more. And hopefully one day my wall will look like what you see in back of Vince there. That's pretty awesome. But so tell me a little bit about how now you started out using wood blocks, and then you very recently changed into a more stable product. So tell us a little bit about how it all began and how you've gone into this new form.
Yeah, great question. So Carbonites, the idea for turning it into a business was during that COVID period of 2021. However, Carbonites were something that I did as a kid, and I just didn't even know it. My family gave me a Jenga block jumbling tower game, and I don't know what had prompted them. But of course, I was saying, I think it was one of those catalogs, Toys R Us or something, and I'm circling, damn near every Star Wars figure that's on there. And I was also a big fan of Galactic Heroes, and if you know that line, they just pumped out character. There felt like a new wave every month almost. And of course, that's exaggerating a little bit. So they gave me these Jenga blocks, and they said, hey, we have a bunch of Sharpies. These could easily stand up on their own and just be your own little action figures and knock them down like dominoes. So just draw the characters you want on there and then wait till Christmas. Maybe we'll get to these other figures. So I had spent a whole summer taking, the 80 blocks or whatever that's in a Jenga set
Right.
and just doodling Sharpies on them. And in order to seal off the corners, so it always had a consistent border to lock in the character, I would do a metallic silver Sharpie. And when I found these later on during that COVID period, I was like, wow, these kind of look like blocks of carbonite because of that silver Sharpie sheen to it.
Sure.
So that's where it began. And then, yes, I started getting different wood that I could cut. And then, it was something I had found at Home Depot for prototyping. And then I started buying pre-cut wood that was better dimensions than a Jenga block. Those are very skinny and there's just not a lot of width going on. So when I stumbled upon these proportions, I just felt like it was a lot more feasible as a figurine. We also widened the width so they could stand easier. Jenga blocks, naturally, they're so thin, they're just going to tip over.
Right.
But the thing with the wood that I started buying that was pre-cut that I used for years is it's incredibly inconsistent because it is an organic material.
Yep.
No wood is the same. And similarly, the supplier who was cutting it was doing a great job, but there's no worse feeling than, buying product and then you can't even use all of it because some of it just wasn't up to my own quality of standards. So
Right.
I was faced with two options. Either A, I invest in a wood shop and I start cutting the wood myself, or B, I look into 3D printing to start doing plastic cores instead. The thing with 3D printed plastic cores, a lot more consistent, and they're going to be level every time, which leads to more possibilities in terms of stacking.
Yep.
And also just a chance that each figurine always will level at the same heights. There will never be like a seam that you feel through the graphics, but I can kind of feel like where the wood would separate right here. And Hyper, yours are going to be coming in the mail very soon, and you're going to get to feel them for yourself. But with the wood cores, with carbonites, have you noticed that sometimes they're slightly off and not exactly entirely consistent?
So, like I said, I have 5 sets, which I believe that translates to 30 figures. And I got to say, you're being very critical of your own work because my figures, all 30 of mine, are absolutely perfect. They are spot on, at least to my eye. Now, I don't know, I can't speak for everyone, but the quality and the craftsmanship and the attention to detail that you had in your first run made with wood, I don't see any imperfections. Now, I will tell you that there's one out of 30 that just kind of wants to lean a tiny little bit one way, but I kind of like it. He happens to be Anakin Skywalker, and it's just kind of funny. And so he's kind of like the drunk guy or something, but
Yeah.
it's okay. I thought that was sort of charming because it's of its handmade nature. But moving forward, the fact that you have been able to standardize everything with a machined product, I do understand the value in that. It's much more stable, it's much more feasible, and all of those things. And you don't have to worry about embargoes or tariffs or foreign suppliers or anything else.
Yeah, and that did become a topic of conversation because the wood price that I was buying pre-cut was it did increase, and I got questions around the time of changing the cores about why being so set on doing the pre-cut wood. And really what I'm tasking myself with trying to figure out with time and perspective is how I can speed up the production of the carbonites themselves, not on the design side, but on the from print to cut to wrap to ship side.
Right.
And that maybe doesn't sound so good on paper because trying to make things more efficient maybe will lead to things not being done as well. And that's not the case here. But doing the whole 3D printed route or having somebody do, pre-cut wood for me,
Right.
it allows me to have more time to design new characters if I'm not taking as much time to produce. But of course, as I grow, there's going to be a lot more production to be had, which is super awesome. which
Right.
then means the designs are then being halted. And part of the fun of Carbonites is coming out with new designs and new characters,
Of
because
course.
everybody kind of wants something different from each corner of the galaxy or of the timeline. So this going the 3D printed route really helped speed up production. Those can be printing while cutting out the characters that just printed, and then I pull them off to then the 3D printer, and I can immediately start wrapping them. I mean, it's like having a little helper. Whereas the wood, that would have been, if I started cutting it myself, that's then eating into the design time for the characters.
So I was getting some feedback from a lot of the community before I went live with you today, and the biggest question, and this is coming from like maybe 20 different people. Are
Wow.
you a one man show? Are you doing it all? Are you doing it all yourself?
That's the question. As of this current moment, yes. On the
Wow.
website, I like to use the word we a lot.
Right.
And that's actually a little bit of laziness on my behalf, because the goal is that this will grow and that it will become a we thing. And then I never have to go back and change all the I's to we's. There's a lot of
Right.
wording on
Right.
that website. But the reason there's also a lot of we's used is, yes, on the rare occasion, I will have some help. If sometimes I'll have a helper who will run something to the post office for me, which is super cool if I'm swamped in orders. Other times there was an instance where, the mint in box part of
Yes.
Carbonites.
Right.
There was an instance where I just needed help packaging those and putting the sticker on. So when it comes to the designs of the characters, that's 100% me. But when it comes to production, there's maybe sometimes like a 5% help that I will get on occasion.
Okay.
And that can't be understated. And that automatically translates to we, because I don't want to
I
undersell
understand.
any help that I get.
So I think one of the most exciting future endeavors that you've just launched is the most recent set that sort of relaunched everything, and that would be the 6 characters from my favorite episode, who are known as bounty hunters, so to speak, and that's a really great way to relaunch your product, so to speak. And I know I was there on the first day. I bought, I think I was there like, bam, I need these. I don't want to miss out on these. And that's really exciting. I was wondering, do you ever have plans to expand beyond a certain galaxy into other properties? Like, for instance, a Caped Crusader of sorts or anything like that?
I think we talked about that at one point. We would call them spruce wains if I was still using wood at the
Oh
time.
my God. Take my money, right? Take it.
You know,
Take it all. Spruce
I,
wains.
as a collector of many things, like honestly, right off to the camera here, I just have a Black Manta McFarlane figure.
Oh,
So, I mean, I am a big DC guy. I love Marvel. I love Transformers. I'm a fan of so many things, but the reality is that collecting multiverse, that's somewhat of a newer thing for me. And same goes with Marvel Legends, and
yep.
Transformers is something I am getting into heavy very recently. But Star Wars has been all of my life,
Yep.
and so has been collecting. So with that, I've seen the do's and the don'ts. I've seen the things that really work for people. I've also
Sure.
heard the outcry of what was never made and that people would love to see. I've been there for the conversations about packaging changes or inaccuracies with character description, you name it. And because of that, I think I have more inspiration when doing things that are more Galaxy Far Far Away themed, or just things that are very much inspired by, like you said, our favorite space opera. And because of that, I think that's where I'm going to stay for a good while.
I can't
But
blame you.
as a creative, and I'm sure that you can relate to this because you've done a little bit of everything. It's not always just Star Wars. We were talking about that
Right.
Toronto Raptors basketball court thing.
Oh, yeah.
So cool. So, as a collector, I love all these niche little sci-fi movies of these cool astronaut characters. And I'm like, man, they never made a toy for that stuff. That would be so cool if I could do a one-off from this random sci-fi film. So there are a few Carbonites in my personal collection that are not like what you see on the website. It's
Okay.
stuff I'll probably never release because it's personal to me, which means I've explored it, but the likelihood of it ever being something I'll try to profit off of is very unlikely.
So the fun thing about these is I have had a lot of fun. So I actually have the Lego Collector Series Cantina, the big Lego Cantina
Yeah.
from and so the carbonites, because they're blocky, it works so well in a Lego environment. So if anybody has Lego dioramas or, Lego play sets, the carbonites are really fun. It looks like they were made to go with Legos. It's sort of like it's almost an interpretation of a Lego figure to me almost. And so they're very like Minecraft looking in a way, blocky. I
Yeah.
love it. And they just work very well. They photograph very well. So if you're really into toy photography, they're so much fun. Because they're square, the way that the lighting hits them is very interesting. They're just such a great product, and I've had so much fun supporting you and your brand, and just out of fun, like I'll just take photographs and little videos and just enjoy the products in an entirely different way than you would a traditional 6-inch figure or a 4-inch figure. They're just very interesting. And I even had this idea, like I was thinking about making a chess set out of them, because you could totally do like a chess set,
Dude.
right?
And
Like,
on the
yeah,
bottom, I guess instead of being like the character name, it could be the chess logo for what piece they are.
exactly. Exactly.
Dude,
There you go.
that's a really great idea. And then especially if we go, well, let me ask you this: would you do
Yeah.
it by movie or would you do it like by faction?
So I think the fun would be in doing it by faction. So that way you could have a droid army battle against a different faction, from a different timeline or something like that. So you could go the movie route. You certainly could, but that's the fun of it. If you had chess sets, you could do all kinds of different chess battles. But I initially bought them with that in mind, and I intend to buy enough of each army to do a chess set. So,
Dude, I really love that idea. And if
all
that's
right.
something I ever move forward with, I will be in contact with you.
All right, you got it. You got it. Excellent. I'm happy to help. I'm definitely happy to help.
Well, I got to give credit as well.
Well, I'll tell you what. So we're just about to wrap it up, and I wanted to ask you, like, so what are some? Do you have anything on the docket coming up over the next couple of months that you're willing to show here?
Yeah, so depending on when this airs,
Yep.
currently this is, am I okay to say the date that we're recording?
Sure. Yeah.
All right, so this is Thursday, September 4th. So over the course of the next 3 weeks, we wrap up the Carbonite Hunters campaign tomorrow. And then 3 weeks, we're going to do things very early on in the timeline. Stuff that feels a little older, if you will, not in terms of release date, but in terms of chronological.
Okay. Love
And
it.
then we're going to do 3 more weeks of squad themed cases. And then from there, we're going to get really close to the 1 year anniversary, which, by the way, congratulations to you and Stone Mando on the
Thank you
Stone
very much.
1 year.
We're gonna get you on as a guest one of these days, man. We're gonna get you on one of these days.
I'd
Yeah,
really like that. That would be
you
cool.
bet. Yeah. But anyways, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm also approaching my 1 year. Now, while I have done this since 2021, I had a soft relaunch November 11th, 2024. And that's where I was really taking it seriously this time around. It wasn't for school. It was for maybe for the rest of my life, not just for a semester committed.
Yep.
And um, around that time, there's a few things I want to do. Number one, the biggest one being I have a supporter tab, and you are a proud part of that supporter tab on the
Yes.
website. And there's a lot of people, and there's like a thumbnail. And on that thumbnail, it's a bunch of random faces. And the goal was to create characters that don't look like my catalog of characters. They actually look like people. Well, those are a bunch of made up people. So the big thing I want to do is I want to model some of the supporters, such as yourself, with your awesome hat that you usually
Oh
wear.
man, that would be
And
great.
I want to turn that supporter thumbnail to actually reflect the community that I have found in the past year. So that's thing number one. Thing number two is now that we have 3D printed cores, that means I can easily scale these in a way that I could not scale wood previously.
Mm-hmm.
Because of that, you can start getting bigger and bigger carbonites.
Oh, it's
So
on. It's on, baby.
there we go. So if
Right.
there's a character that you really like, you could start scaling them up. Or, and this is my idea I'm very excited about, it could also lead to scale accurate characters, perhaps. Like I happen to have this coaster sitting just right here from Galaxy's Edge. And I don't know
Right.
if this gives you any idea, but maybe this would be really cool to see big opposed to like the normal size.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
There you go. Always a little bit of code there. So,
Right.
and then the third thing that I really want to do, and this is really just going forward. There were many weeks where I would just do trooper after trooper. A lot of my lineup is based on, hey, I saw that this is selling pretty well. I got really good reception on this case. Let's make more similar to it. But I did get in a little bit of a series of just doing troopers and troopers and troopers. And I wasn't getting to flex my muscles as much. You know, there's a lot of really cool designs, and troopers are a big part of that universe.
Mm-hmm.
But it would be really cool to see some different things, less stuff that's based off previously used templates, and creating new templates, making it feel fresh despite always being in the exact same scale. So because of that, something that I hope takes place over these next few months is you'll see a lot of new templates and a lot of new things that feel like each character was designed specifically for that case. And you might never see reuse on that body ever again.
I can promise you the community is going to show up for that. That's very exciting news for sure. And I know that there are so many of us who really enjoy your work, and we're here for it, man. We're here for the scaled up, the new templates, all of it. We can't wait. So
Thank you.
Looking forward to it. So with that being said, I want to thank you so much for your time. This is a really exciting episode because this is something that so many of us actually have in our collection. And we can't wait to see what else is coming down the pike with Carbonites. So
thank you, Paul. And before we go, I do have to ask, you
yes.
did a collection tour, and I was obsessed with your shelves that are behind you.
Oh, thank you.
Not just exactly how you have them lined up, of course, but the borders have like a comic book tapering to them.
Yes, they do.
I need you to spill the secrets. I need to know how you did it.
So what I did was, so I have 3 boys, and they're all grown up, and they're all active duty in the Navy right now, but they're all very into comics. And I had a whole bunch. I mean, I've been collecting comics my entire life, but for me, it was a question of, you know, each one had maybe, I bought a copy of each comic for each kid. So we had 300 comics, and really you only needed 100 because the others were extras, you know? And so maybe there was a couple of copies that were less than mint, you might say, right? You know, so
yeah.
What I did was I had black cabinets. I built my room. This is all custom cabinetry, and I built my room, and they're all black, and they looked great black. But everybody has black cabinets, and I wanted mine to look a little different. And so what I did was I grabbed all the comic books. I got permission from the boys first. I'm like, look, guys, we have 175 mint ones, but we have 100 that are kind of crappy. And I said, I'm proposing that we do the collector room and we applique the comic book pages to it. So I just took some cement, some what do you call it? Contact cement. And I just rolled the cabinets with the contact cement. And then I rolled the comic book pages, and then I just applied them to it. And I just made it sort of like a living comic book. And so what's fun about it is I took my favorites. I took Indiana Jones, Star Wars, G.I. Joe, and DC. And I sort of randomized it. And so if you look around, you'll see Darth Maul, and you'll see Superman, and, you know, like the guy who had his face melted off from Indiana Jones. And it's just like this sort of wild sort of I don't know. It's like if a comic book exploded, you know, and so that's, and you know, the inside of the cabinets are black, but it kind of has this visual appeal that I thought was cool. So thank you very much for noticing that. Yeah.
Yeah, it just added a really unique flavor. And sometimes, you know, it wouldn't always be the media that would match up next to your shelves. I think it was specifically the classified stuff. I think I
Yeah.
saw a Han Solo comic and I was like, you know, I actually like that though, because
Yes.
it doesn't like you could then theoretically move your classified to another shelf and then you could maybe, you know, you didn't like just put the comics to specify the region of what collectible it was, which
Right.
allows you to maybe one day swap it around if you really wanted to. So
Exactly.
that was just a really unique touch, and I just had to draw attention to it.
Well, it's funny. You and I are on the same wavelength because I'm actually doing a build. I'm building a cabinet, and we're going to do comic book applique around the whole thing as like sort of like a DIY project. So stay tuned. If you like that, we're going to actually build one. That's going to be my fall Thanksgiving-y type project. So yeah. So
I love it. I can't wait for that. And the part
All right,
two, it's your collection tour.
that's right. You got it. You got it. Hey man, Vince, thank you so much. I appreciate the time. We will look forward to more from you. And everybody, thank you so much.
Thanks for watching.